to make sure that the students grasp the content and develop critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and of course, actionable knowledge. So why is evaluation important? I think we have 10 different reasons why it's very important. So it measures the learning outcomes, measures how much did the student learn, have they achieved the desired level of learning, the objectives, did they understand the causes of climate change? Number two, to identify strengths and weaknesses, to pinpoint the areas where the student excels in a climate change topic and where the student simply doesn't. So maybe a student would understand the science behind global warming, but it doesn't. The student might not understand what could be an actionable solution toward it, which is very normal. It's a complex topic. Improves teaching effectiveness. So provides feedback to educators on what works and what doesn't. If many students struggle with a specific topic, teachers can adjust their methods or provide supplementary materials to encourage active learning. So engage students by making them reflect their knowledge and participation through self-assessments, peer reviews. Students take responsibility for their own learning. We also have promotes accountability. So it ensures that educational programs meet their goals. Climate education programs can be evaluated to determine if they effectively foster awareness and actionable knowledge, as well as evaluation can support continuous improvement. So the more the student gets evaluated, the more that they would understand how to refine what they have studied. So a feedback from assessments can lead to inclusion of more relevant climate change topics or interactive methods. It might help the student understand how to think about a certain topic and how to go around it. Another reason is facilitates personalized learning. So it tailors education to meet individual student needs. A student struggling with data analysis in climate studies might receive additional resources or tutoring, as well as encouraging critical thinking. So evaluations often challenges students to analyze, synthesize, and apply their knowledge. If you ask the students to propose a solution to climate issue, fostering problem-solving skills as well, you can track the progress, which is very, very important. Monitoring the growth over time. So comparing the pre and post assessments, showing how much has a student learned about renewable energy as an example. Also, we have prepare students for real world challenges. So evaluation ensures the students are ready to apply their knowledge to real world situations, assessing whether students can communicate climate science effectively to peers or community members. So key consideration for climate education assessment is to focus on actionable knowledge, prioritizing assessing whether students can apply their learning to real world context or not, encourage critical thinking to assess ability in analyzing, interpreting data, and proposing viable solutions, to promote collaboration, so incorporating team-based assessments to simulate real-world problem solving scenarios, and of course the use of a variety of methods, combining traditional and innovative strategies for a well-rounded evaluation are some key considerations. However, how can teachers assess the student understanding? So we talked about how important evaluation is. We gave about 10 different ways that evaluation is very important, but how can we implement evaluating the students? So project-based assessments, making the student work on real-world climate-related projects, such as designing a community sustainability plan or conducting a local environmental impact study. The way that it helps is it demonstrates applied knowledge and encourages creativity, teamwork, and critical thinking. Case studies and problem-solving tasks, which are fun for the students that love to investigate. So present students with real or hypothetical scenarios involving climate challenges, such as urban flooding or biodiversity loss. The way that it helps is that it evaluates their ability to analyze data, which is where I got the investigative part, propose solutions, and justify their reasoning. Next, we have formative assessments, ongoing evaluation. So the very traditional polls and quizzes using digital tools like Kahoot or Google Forms to quiz students on key concepts such as greenhouse gases or carbon footprint calculation. Also reflection journals, asking the student to write about what they've learned, how they plan to apply it, and so on. We can also have role-playing and simulation. So students take on roles like policymakers, scientists, or activists in a climate-related scenario. So the way that it helps is test the understanding of various perspective and decision-making process. So if, for example, after learning about climate change, we can make like, let's say, a 2-hour, 1-hour class where students take different roles and they role play different scenarios. So for example, one of the students could be an activist and another student could act as a business owner that does not want to go through policy. So we will have another student who is the policymaker, and then the students will help to basically wear the mask of these different topics, and be able to answer accordingly, so that students are able to know all the perspectives that comes with climate change science. An example of that is to conduct a mock United Nations Climate Change Conference, which is basically not only a lot of fun, but it's very, very educational. So assessing the student's understanding could go in many different ways. So it could be through peer assessments, it can be through concept mapping, and it can be through interactive gamification as well. So for peer assessment, students evaluate each other's work based on a set of criteria, fostering collaboration and deeper understanding. The way that it helps is that it encourages critical thinking and self-reflection. We also have concept mapping, so creating diagrams, linking key climate change concepts such as carbon cycles, greenhouse effects, renewable energy. So this could also be maybe not even a concept mapping, it could be just creating an infographic. Interactive gamification, using educational games or simulations to assess learning in an engaging way. And you can also use this climatekids.nasa website in order to get the gamification part going, because there are a lot of interesting games there. So the way that we assess students is also through written assessments and community-based assessments. So written assessments are essays, reports, written down, specifically analyzing climate issues such as global warming, on biodiversity, or economic policies for climate mitigation, as well as open-ended questions. So debate-like questions, open-ended questions, where the student is able to articulate their own understanding, their own viewpoint in a way that is deep. Students engage with their communities by conducting surveys, hosting workshops, or creating awareness campaigns. So evaluating the practical application of knowledge and fosters civic responsibility. An example is organize a tree planting drive and assessing its environmental impact. Very, very interesting. It is a community, lots of fun. Another way that we can assess students is through their digital portfolios. So compiling their work over time, including their projects, presentations, and reflection to track progress and demonstrate cumulative learning. Post-lesson feedback through self-assessment, so they can reflect on their own learning by identifying the strengths and areas for improvement. Short responses at the end of the lessons to gauge immediate understanding, which we call exit tickets. Evaluation includes rules. Of course, the rules of evaluation is to be fair and objective. So avoid biases, ensure all students are assessed based on the same criteria. So we need to have a grading rubric. Grading rubric needs to be presented to the students so that the students understand what are they being graded for to begin with, and so that they are able to make sure that they are getting everything that they can to the table. Otherwise, they will not be knowing how to do a thing, even if they are very knowledgeable about the topic. So also avoiding being too harsh. We will talk about constructive feedback in details later on in a while. Ensure clarity, so communicate expectation grading criteria, and of course use multiple methods. So quizzes, projects, presentation, discussions, all together to capture different strengths and learning styles. Now, constructive feedback. According to research done by the Harvard Business Review Center for Creative Leadership, a research in neuroscience has figured that the brain reacts to negative feedback as a threat, activating the amygdala, the brain's fear center. So imagine when you give a student a negative feedback, they would activate the amygdala, giving them stress, giving them fear, impairing learning and memory. So over here, we highlight that negative feedback can make our learning and memory worse. However, if the feedback is delivered constructively, it engages the prefrontal cortex, promoting reflection, growth, and positive change. Very, very important. This is scientific, it's a fact. So why does constructive feedback matter? Other than the fact that it hits because if it's not constructive, then we're hitting the amygdala and making students stressed. Another reason why it matters is that enhances performance and development, builds trust and strong relationships, encourages a growth mindset, and creates a safe space, supportive work or learning environment. What can make your feedback constructive? Being specific, clear on the behavior or the result. Actionable, so offering guidance for improvement. For the feedback to be kind and respectful, so delivered with empathy, and for it to be timely, so given close to the event. Balanced, includes positives and areas for growth. So we have different methods for feedback. The SPI method is a method where you mention the situation, you mention the behavior, and then you mention the impact. So a question is, in yesterday's meeting, which is the situation, you interrupted Sarah multiple times. This is the bad behavior, which made it hard for her to share her ideas. This is the impact. So this is called the SPI method. For me personally, I like the sandwich method. So the feedback sandwich is basically to start off with a positive feedback, ending with encouragement. So for example, I love the visuals in your presentation. This is the positive feedback. One thing to work on, this is the criticizing here, is speaking a bit slower for clarity. Now, then we encourage. Overall, your message was very, very strong. And that wouldn't really offend anyone. Another way is to ask before you tell. So shows respect, opens the door. So asking the person, hey, can I give you some feedback? It makes the person more receptive and ready to listen. So before jumping in, ask, would it be okay if I shared some thoughts on your project presentation? Another last one is to use the I statement. So I noticed, I feel, I'm concerned, not you always, you never. So for example, I feel like the project isn't moving forward as planned. I'd love to work together to find out what's holding us back, not what's holding you back. Why are you not doing the work? It should be very, very constructive, especially with our target group, especially with the students we are dealing with. The last one is a general one that goes along with every constructive feedback, is that you need to follow up. So you need to check in to see if any improvement happened, to offer ongoing support. So for example, I saw you used more eye contact in the last session. Nice work. Do you want to help prepare for next week's talk too, in a speech giving class? So now let's give two scenarios. A team member consistently misses deadlines. This is our scenario, you guys. Approach A, negative feedback. So you always submit things late. This is unacceptable. This would trigger defensiveness and shut down communication. Approach B is opening a dialogue, encouraging improvement. So it's basically saying, I noticed the last 3 reports came in after the deadline, which affects the team progress. Is there anything I can do to support you to manage the timeline better? Which is very constructive. It offers help, it offers understanding, and it's positive, constructive. So in education, teachers giving growth-focused comments. So you've done great explaining your idea. Try backing it up with an example next time. In the workplace, however, managers offering coaching style feedback. So your solution worked well here. Do you think it could scale to the next phase? So in different areas of life and different places, constructive feedback is given differently. Rules of evaluation to encourage growth. Make sure you emphasize that the point of all of this is to learn and to progress over perfection, to grow, to just have a growth mindset. And provide timely feedback. So offer feedback soon after evaluation so students can learn and improve. Maintain transparency. Be open about how grades are assigned. Provide explanations for scores when needed. and respect individuality. So consider individual learning paces and avoid one-size-fits-all assessments, of course. We have come to the end of our webinar. These are the resources that we have used just in case. You can take a look. Okay, so we have some answers in the chat box. I'll stop presenting my screen. I'm an audio-visual learner. Both helps me learn the topics faster. Visual, I am a visual learner too. Yeah, I think I'm also auditory visual. I need to see and I need to hear. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Lots of people have lots of different learning styles, and all learning styles are welcome. So I hope do you guys have any questions, any comments, anything? No one does? Okay, thank you very, very much. I hope that you enjoyed our webinar. I will be sending the forms as soon as we are done. Let me stop the recording. Thank you very much.